Okay, so here we are at the Library Learning Commons website. You can see over here that the the website. We're at the main page. If we go down, the new feature that's been added to the library website is this thing, these research guides over here. So you can click on one of those. This is a good start to being able to get some of the things that you want to, or to be able to start the research that you need to do in your classes and for our major project. So if you go down, you'll see that there's one for hospitality and tourism, and there's also one for business. A lot of what we study here is business related, so you can either go through one or the other. There is probably some level of overlap in material, but there's also different material in each. So you go to the one with hospitality and tourism. This is the one we'll use as an example. And you'll see that there's actually information on the variety of subsets within this particular industry. Based on program, sorry. So our program is here, Hospitality Business Administration and Management, H301. You click there. And you see that there's a lot of different resources available here, okay? You'll be able to, you can search everything to be able to find things about particular subject matter areas within the library database. I'd like to point you to the top row here. Okay, so you can, for a lot of our courses, we would like you to use the journals and magazines in the databases. I'll start with databases here, just to show you a couple things that I talked about in today's presentation. So in the CanSim database, you'll be able to find things using those NAICS codes we talked about. That's the website for Statistics Canada. So this is actually a really good place for you to go where you can find some of the data that you'll need for your project. This is something you might want to know later on when we're doing the new venture development course. Passport GMID, I mentioned this to you as well. It provides you a bunch of different reports. You might be able to find stuff on areas of interest. Parts of your industry statistics may come from here. I highly encourage that you look there for your research. Okay. If we go down to general research databases, you'll see the CBCA Complete, which I had mentioned to you. ProQuest databases also have a considerable amount of research that would be useful for you to be able to access. Encyclopedias probably aren't so useful in these types of projects. Then we have a whole bunch of hospitality and tourism databases that will be able to find some information about the specific areas within the hospitality industry that we're looking at. This is a useful endeavor, going through all of these resources, because it allows you to find stuff that's a little bit more focused and much more reputable than doing a general Google search. There was a day when researching was very difficult, so I would understand why you'd opt towards doing a Google search instead of going and doing real research at the library, but that's not the case anymore. It's very, very accessible. The information is very accessible to you. So I think that we sort of expect that you do the best that you can. Emerald Tourism and Hospitality Collection has a lot of research. Hospitality and Tourism Complete through EBSCO will have a lot of different information from trade journals, news sources, as well as other types of specific reports from the industry, magazines, and obviously some harder research sort of things. I'm wondering whether or not, right, so down at the bottom you'll see that there's news access. You can get InfoTrack Newsstand or Canadian Newsstand from ProQuest, and both of those offer you with access to news items within the major newspapers. So these are also really good sources of information when you're preparing your pastel papers on a weekly basis, those 4 out of 6 that you have to do, or when you're going to do your major project and you want to see, hey, what's the outlook, what's happening within my industry, etc. You can use these resources to be able to get you there, and I think that it's really beneficial for you to approach it this way. If you need help learning how to search things, you can obviously come to me, but you could also go to the reference librarian, who should be able to provide you with some sort of insights about how things might work. Let's go to journals and magazines for a moment so that we can see some of the other resources we're talking about. Again, you can find specific journals to access. Most of these are available within the databases that we just went through. So the database does provide you with a way to access those materials all together rather than going journal by journal. But presumably every once in a while you might be faced with a citation from a journal and you might want to be able to find a particular journal article. Well, this is a perfectly good way of doing this. You can also look by all publications within a subset here, so this might help you out as you're doing those reports for this term. Also, if you look down here, are the trade publications we're talking about. So they also might provide information about a particular subset of the industry that you're going to be studying for your industry outlook that otherwise you might not be able to easily access. I'm going to see what there is under websites. I know the kinds of things that I'm going to ask you to look for. If you go here, you'll see the standard industrial classifications from Canada. So this will allow you to be able to find information about the industries, or at least the various industry the various industry classifications. Industry Canada might have information on some subsets that you're looking at. A lot of these can be used to be able to do business research. So, look through them and see whether there's stuff there that might help you. Ontario Ministry of Labour might help you if you're looking at the social aspect of PESTEL, etc. You have eLaws Ontario. We're going to be talking about some of these resources within our discussions, but the point is that there's lots of great stuff here. You don't have to go any further than this. It's even a little bit overwhelming, so you need to approach it with in stride. Over on the right here, we have the Canadian Hospitality and Tourism. When we look into some of these, you'll find that there are statistics that are collected that you won't necessarily find in other resources. So associations and industry representation groups are very good ways of finding information that you might need for those particular the subsets that you're looking at. So as I said, we encourage you very strongly to look at these sorts of resources as opposed to just searching willy-nilly through Google. I hope that this provides you with a little bit of an idea about how to easily access this. We can thank our librarian for putting this together because this has made everything a little bit easier, a little bit more consolidated than it would have been before, and can allow you to be able to do the research that you need to do for your coursework, and to get things that are a little bit more applicable than you might otherwise be able to find.